Hello everyone, and welcome to Language Mysteries channel. In today's video, we are talking about how many languages people can speak. You might have heard that some people speak 2 or even more languages. This is called bilingual or multilingual. But some of these languages are really close to each other or from same language family. In this video, we will look at how some languages are similar to each other. We'll talk about language families and how they share common roots. For example, there are many close languages in the world such as Spanish and Portuguese, Danish with Norwegian and Swedish. With the help of AI, we grouped languages and showed how close they are using a similarity percentage. This helps us understand which languages are easier to learn if you already speak one of them. These general estimates depend a lot on where the languages are spoken, if they are near each other or far apart. There is no exact way to measure the percentages, and the similarity can change between writing, vocabulary, and speaking. So the numbers and percentages are only rough estimates of how close the languages are to each other. Long ago, cavemen didn't speak like we do today. They used simple sounds, hand signs, and body movements to share ideas. A grunt might mean danger, and pointing could show where food was. Over time, they made more sounds and started using basic words. Talking helped them work together, stay safe, and teach each other. It was the beginning of language. There are about 7,000 languages spoken in the world today, reflecting the incredible variety of human expression. This number is constantly shifting as communities create new words, borrow from neighbors, and adapt their speech to modern life. Most people in the world are bilingual or multilingual, while true monolinguals are actually a minority. Roughly 40% of the global population speaks only one language, while about 60% can communicate in 2 or more. Here we can see some groups of languages. There are over 140 recognized language families in the world, such as Indo-European, Sino-Tibetan to Turkic, that each grouping languages that share a common ancestral origin. In this video we are going to talking about different groups of languages. Of course, first is Indo-European languages that are the largest language family in the world, spoken by nearly half of the global population, likely spoken in Eastern Europe or Central Asia, and different part of the worlds. They all trace back to a common ancestor called Proto-Indo-European. Here, we can see when each Indo-European language split from the main group. For example, Greek and Armenian separated a long time ago, and the Indo-Aryan branch split more than 4,000 years ago. On the other hand, Romance and Germanic languages separated more recently. This chart helps us understand which languages are closer to each other. Languages that split later usually share more words and grammar. By looking at these connections, we can see how languages are grouped and how they changed over time. Here, you can see the location of each Indo-European languages. The location of each language is very important because languages that are close together often share words, sounds, and grammar. When people live near each other, they talk, trade, and mix cultures, which helps their languages grow in similar ways. We are choosing one language from each big group of Indo-European languages. For example, Spanish comes from Latin, the language spoken by the Romans, and belongs to the Romance language family. Also English from Germanic, Polish from Slovak, Persian from Iranian, and Hindi from India. First Indo-European languages is Spanish in this video clip. Today, Spanish is one of the most spoken languages in the world, and it still shares many words and grammar rules with other Romance languages like Italian, French, and Portuguese. Spanish didn't just stay in Spain, it traveled around the world. When Spanish explorers and settlers went to places like Mexico, Central and South America, and parts of the Caribbean, they brought the language with them. Over time, Spanish mixed with local languages and cultures, creating different accents and styles of speaking. That's why Spanish sounds a little different in each country, but people can still understand each other. Today, Spanish is spoken by over 500 million people. It's one of the most popular languages to learn, and it's used in schools, business, music, and movies. Because it shares roots with other Romance languages, if you know Spanish, it's easier to learn languages like Italian or Portuguese. The closest language to Spanish is Portuguese. On the map, we can see that Portuguese is mainly spoken in Portugal and Brazil. These two languages are close to around 90% to each other. This high percentage means that if you speak one of the languages, it's usually easier to understand or learn the other. The second language closest to Spanish is Catalan, with about an 85% similarity. Catalan is primarily spoken in northeastern Spain, Andorra, parts of France, and a small area of Italy. Also, Italian language is close to Spain with around 82 to 85%. Then French language that is speak in different countries. Then Romanian language. Spanish is also closely related to other Indo-European languages such as English, German, Dutch, Danish, Polish, and Greek, which are shown with percentages to indicate their similarities. These percentages come from AI analysis and are just estimates, not exact scientific results. They show which languages are more similar to each other, but this can also vary from person to person. To help understand these estimated numbers, we use the Common Framework of Reference for Languages, which splits language skills into 6 levels. I used AI to give percentage estimates so we can easily see how many languages we can speak at each level. For example, if we're at an advanced level, we might understand 80% to 99% of another language. Of course, a higher percentage of similarity doesn't necessarily mean that speaking the language will be very easy. It simply indicates how easy the learning process might be for that language. For Spanish, we can say native level proficiency of course, advanced skills in Portuguese, Catalan, and Italian, and upper intermediate in French. So if you see a Spanish speaker learning and speaking French very quickly, it's probably because these languages are very close and share a common root. And also, Romanian. But the English is only at an elementary level. Here you can see the percentage similarity of 3 other Romance languages, Portuguese, French, and Italian, based on AI analysis. It shows how closely these languages are related to each other. English is a global language rooted in the Germanic family, and today it serves as a primary means of communication across continents. Its vocabulary has grown to include words from Latin, French, and many other languages, making it rich and adaptable. English is not just a native language in countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. It's also a second language for millions worldwide, used in business, media, and diplomacy in many regions. English is the dominant language in education. Even in non-English speaking countries, English is often the medium for science, technology, and higher education, making it essential for academic success and professional advancement. It's the language of the internet, international travel, and pop culture. Whether you're watching a movie, attending a conference, or studying abroad, English often bridges the gap between cultures and communities, making it one of the most influential tools for global connection. Also, language of this video clip. Dutch is one of the closest languages with high population to English, sharing approximately 70% lexical similarity. Afrikaans, which evolved from Dutch, also shows a high degree of similarity to English due to its shared Germanic roots. Following Dutch and Afrikaans, the German and Scandinavian languages, Norwegian, Danish, and Swedish, have about 50 to 60% similarity to English, making them relatively easy for English speakers to learn. All these languages belong to the Germanic family, which explains their structural and vocabulary overlaps with English. German, another major Germanic language, also shares many similarities with English, although its grammar is more complex. Despite these connections, each language has its own unique features and pronunciation patterns. Beyond the Germanic group, other languages like French, Spanish, Portuguese, Romance, and Italian have less similarity to English but still share some vocabulary due to Latin influence. These languages are part of the Romance family and differ more in grammar and syntax, yet they remain popular choices for English speakers learning a second language. Here, if you are interested to see each English native language can speak with how many languages and their level. Dutch and Afrikaans are upper intermediate or B2, also Norwegian, Danish, Swedish, and German are intermediate level. Here we can observe the similarities among other Germanic languages, including German, Danish, and Dutch. Another major group of Indo-European languages is the Slavic group. In this group, we will discuss the Polish language in detail, while providing summaries of Russian, Ukrainian, and Czech. Polish is a language spoken mostly in Poland. It comes from a group of languages called Slavic, which also includes Russian, Czech, and Slovak. Polish uses the Latin alphabet, like English, but has some extra letters and sounds that are unique. It's a bit tricky for AI to give an exact estimate for this group of languages. But Slovak is one of the closest to Polish, with about 75 to 85% similarity. Slovakia is a neighboring country of Poland, as shown in the figure. The Czech language is also very similar to Polish, with around 75 to 80% similarity. Ukrainian shares about 40 to 50% similarity with Polish. Russian, which is a widely spoken Slavic language but belongs to the East Slavic group rather than the West Slavic group like Polish, has about 35 to 40% similarity with Polish. Polish also shares some similarities with Serbo-Croatian. Below is a comparison showing how similar Polish is to other languages, such as Bulgarian, Lithuanian, and Latvian. Here you can see how similar Polish is to different languages. Its advanced and upper intermediate level in Slovak and Czech languages. Also, intermediate at Ukrainian. We also show how similar different Slavic languages are, like Russian, Ukrainian, and Czech. These languages often share more similarities with nearby countries. Iranian languages are part of the Indo-European family and are primarily spoken in countries across Asia. This means they share a common root with many other languages spoken throughout Europe and Asia. The origin of Iranian languages traces back to an ancient language called Old Iranian, which was spoken thousands of years ago. Within this group, there are many related languages that are similar to each other, such as Persian, Kurdish, Balochi, Pashto, Tajiki, Dari, and more. In this part, we chose Persian, the official language of Iran, and checked the percentage of similarity with related languages. The first language is Dari, which is very similar to Persian, about 95% similar. This means speakers of Dari and Persian can communicate with each other very easily. The second closest language to Persian is Tajiki, with approximately 85 to 90% similarity. It's spoken in Tajikistan. Luri is about 60 to 80% similar to Persian, Kurdish is around 50 to 70%, Balochi is 50 to 70%, and Pashto is 40 to 60%. These languages are all part of the same language family and share many features. Below are other languages that are close to Persian, such as Urdu and Hindi. This means people who speak these languages can often understand each other when they talk, with an estimated similarity of around 40 to 60%. Finally, if we look at how well an Iranian might know other languages, they usually have an advanced level in Dari and Tajiki, and an upper intermediate level in Luri, Kurdish, and Balochi. We also show how similar some Iranian languages are, like Tajiki, Kurdish, and Pashto, which are more closely related to Iranian and Indian languages. Finally, Indian group of languages that clear it's from Indo-European languages. India is a very big country with many people who speak different languages. The languages spoken in India come from a few main groups or families. The biggest language family in India is called Indo-Aryan. Indian languages from the Indo-European family are mainly spoken in northern and central India. They include many different languages like Hindi, Bengali, Marathi, and Punjabi. Hindi is the most common and is used in schools, government, and media. For this reason, we chose the Hindi for see which languages are very similar to this language with more details. The most similar language to Hindi is Urdu, with around 80% similarity. This means speakers of these two languages can easily understand each other. Urdu is an official language primarily in Pakistan. Hindi is also very similar to Punjabi, Marathi, and Gujarati. All three are part of the Indo-Aryan branch of the Indo-European language family, meaning they share roots with Hindi and other Indo-European languages. Moreover, Nepali's language is similar around 50 to 55% to Hindi. Hindi also has similarities with Pashto, Persian, Tajiki, and Dari, which are Iranian languages. We showed how Iranian and Indian languages are separate branches within the Indo-European language family. Additionally, these languages are spoken in regions that are geographically close to each other. Finally, based on these similarities, if you speak Hindi, you likely have upper intermediate skills in Urdu, Punjabi, Marathi, and Gujarati. For Nepali, your level would be intermediate. Here we show how languages like Nepali, Urdu, and Marathi are similar to other languages. They all belong to the Indo-Aryan language family, which is closely related to the larger Indo-Iranian group. In our next video clip, we'll explore other big group of languages such as Turkish and Arabic, also East Asia, like Chinese, Korean, and Japanese, as well as major language groups in different parts of the world. Thanks for watching this video. Please share your thoughts in the comments. The goal is to give general knowledge about different languages. Also, feel free to share your own guesses about how similar some languages are.